You're listening to the Social Hub Podcast, a place where we give small brands the skills and know-how to master all their social media, digital, and content marketing. I'm your host, Stacey Cranich, mum, champagne drinker, and self-confessed karaoke queen. Join me in a journey of real conversations and meaningful messages that will help you grow in your business and life, so you can have the most epic version of both. If you have a big vision and are ready to shine, then grab a cuppa or a cocktail and listen in. Welcome back, episode 8 of the Social Hub podcast. Today we are going to be delving into a topic about Instagram, one of my favorite platforms, and a part of the Instagram platform that has kind of eluded a lot of people in my audience. It's a part of the platform that I am acutely interested in and have been watching for quite some time. And that part of the platform is IGTV. Now, I have a lot of background, a lot of interesting things that have been rolled out on IGTV over the last 18 months, and some really good tips on how to get started using this part of the platform if you haven't played around with it already. But before we get stuck into that content, I have 2 people that I want to give a shout out to. Now, remember, guys, if you leave a review for the podcast, if you're loving what you're hearing, make sure you pop your Instagram handle in the review and I will give you a shout out on a future episode. Now, I've got 2 awesome people here that left a great review that I want to give a shout out to today. And one of them is Eva from Mandala Digital. Her Instagram handle is Mandala Digital AU, and her review says, Stacey is a wealth of knowledge on all things social. This podcast is a definite must listen for small businesses looking to harness social media to succeed in business. Thank you so much, Eva. That was a beautiful review. Now, Eva is an amazing lady. I've actually had Eva come and speak to my paid community previously in the past, and she does website optimization, SEO, and SEO copy. Now, SEO is definitely not something I am an expert in, so if you need someone who is, then I can definitely recommend that you follow her. The next review that I want to share with you is from another lady in business that I have met a few times, and we've become fast friends. Her name is Kate from The Northern Styler. You will find her on Instagram at The Northern Styler. Her review says, I've heard about the Social Hub and even seen the Social Hub on Insta and Facebook, but I hadn't listened to the Social Hub. Easy to follow, to the point, and I'm left with an action list of my own. Loved it and will definitely be tuning in for the following podcast. And it's so funny because the day she left this review, Kate actually DM'd me on Facebook and said, I've listened to your podcast. I've got so much out of it. I'm only up to episode 2 and I've got this whole list of things that I wasn't doing and now know that I need to go and do to improve my processes. And so I love knowing that the steps and the actions and the tips and the tricks and the strategy that I'm giving you in these episodes is helping you. Now, Kate is a stylist, so she can help you as a small business owner maximize your brand shoots by helping style you. Now, I'm actually employing Kate to help me with one of my future shoots because I don't know about you ladies, but I don't like shopping. I hate how I look in pretty much everything, and I need someone to kind of go, this is what you need to wear, this looks good on you, and like just really just help a sister out. So you can go and check Kate out, and if you are in the market for someone to help you with a brand shoot, then hit her up. So IGTV. Let's get stuck into that. I just want to give you a bit of a background about IGTV before I go any further into any of the sort of strategic content around how to use this part of the platform. IGTV popped into the scene in 2018. Now, I kind of say that Instagram did the equivalent of a midnight smoke bomb. You know what a smoke bomb is. It's when you're out with your friends and you turn around at midnight and you go, hey, where's Debbie? What happened? Well, Debbie's checked out, man. She's gone home. She's in a cab eating a hot dog or something and she's going to go to bed, but she didn't tell you that she was going. That's a smoke bomb. Instagram smoke bombed IGTV. They just kind of went boom. there it is, and then off they went. It wasn't taken up and being used that widely by the Instagram community when it first came out. It was really clunky to navigate to. You had to go and start a new channel which sat on a different part of the platform. It was difficult to upload content on there because it could only be portrait style to start with and only up to 10 minutes long. Now, what this did was it just made it another thing to do. So people kind of looked at it and then just kind of went, what? I'm not doing that because I'm already busy doing feed content, stories, Facebook Lives, emails, just already doing all the things. So why would I just add something else to my list? And that's kind of where it sat for a little while. Instagram didn't really lead with any clear benefit that IGTV would have to be able to use in your marketing strategy. So therefore, people didn't really use it that much. A few people gave it a go, but because the content wasn't easy to navigate to, it wasn't in your feed, you had to go into that person's channel to find it. It just kind of sat there, and it sat there for a little while. But what I found really interesting about IGTV was these few things. Now, number one is remember that these platforms don't just do something for no reason. When Facebook or Instagram or any platform for that matter release a new product or feature, there is a reason behind it. And they haven't just come up with it on a whim. They've probably had like a board of executives that have come up with this concept and they've developed it over a lot of time, and then they start to implement it. The things that I found really interesting about it was that it was a place on Instagram to have longer form video content. Let's remember that Facebook has really owned long form video content up until now. Facebook Lives were the it thing a couple of years ago. If you weren't doing live, then you were barely on Facebook, remember? Facebook also is a place where people have been more apt and more open to watch longer form video content. And what I mean by that is videos of over, say, 2 to 5 minutes or even up to 10 minutes or more. So the user on Facebook has been used to watching videos that are longer than a few minutes and longer than 5 to 10 minutes. Instagram hasn't had a piece of that pie because an Instagram feed video can only be up to 60 seconds. Instagram, yes, has Instagram Live, but again, it's clunky to navigate to. It sits in your story feed, which while that's a great place for exposure because Instagram stories are so massive now, it's also not somewhere where you can put pre-recorded content. An Instagram Live is live. You are physically taking the video at that time. Whereas an IGTV video is something you can pre-record and upload. So it was kind of sitting in this part of the Instagram platform that to me seemed like it was going to solve a lot of problems for the Instagram user and also for Instagram take up some of that market share that Facebook has always kind of owned in the video realm. So I sat back and I kind of watched IGTV quite keenly with interest. And at the end of last year, when it just kind of sat there, they didn't do a lot with it, I thought, okay, this isn't going away, which means that there must be big plans for this part of the platform. So I put out a sweeping declaration at the end of 2018, and I predicted that IGTV would become a bigger playing field on Instagram than it currently was in 2019. And it has. Now, I'm definitely not a psychic, but sitting back and strategically looking at the features that were available there, it made sense to me that it would become a bigger part of the platform. So the things that have been released to IGTV this year in 2019 have meant that more people are using it. Now, I'll go through some of those features with you now, and then we'll get into some of the things that people like to see on the platform, the interesting ways that it plays a part in your engagement and the algorithm, and how you can get started using it if you're not already. Some of the features that have been introduced this year are these. So the first one was that now your IGTV videos can be displayed in your feed. You still have a channel that you can navigate to, but that channel is easier to access now. It kind of sits in that little bar across the top of your feed. So you can go to your feed post, you can go to your tagged posts, like posts that you've been tagged in, and you can also go to your IGTV channel. Now, People can find your IGTV channel a lot easier because they've made it easier to find. Also, your IGTV videos are now displayed in your native feed, which means that people can find them on the Explore button and they can find them in their feed if they're following you. Now that's a big game changer. Putting your IGTV videos in the feed meant that more people were going to see them and be able to find them. So that was a huge thing for that part of the platform. The other things that IGTV now allow you to do is you can add your own thumbnail. Now, that doesn't sound like a big deal, but if you're someone that takes videos of yourself and you know that really annoying thing where the thumbnail's always a picture of you taking a weird face, or you've got your eyes closed and, it always picks the worst picture of you, like your driver's license picture or your passport photo. You can add and upload a thumbnail, which means that if someone lands on your feed, the photo or the image that's uploaded is what they see, which still keeps your feed looking really cohesive. If someone finds it natively in your feed, they're not going to see that thumbnail, but if they do go onto your actual page and scroll through your feed, it will look cohesive, but it will also still stand out because it does have the IGTV icon up in the top right-hand corner. The other thing that you can do with your IGTV video is that you can add a swipe up link to it in a story. Now, this is gold for those people that don't have 10,000 followers. We all want that swipe up in our story feature to add an external link, but the fact is most of us just don't have it. So if you're using IGTV video, you can add a swipe up link to that video in your story. That makes IGTV really powerful. Adding that feature to everybody to access kind of shows to me how important or how big IGTV video is going to be in the big scheme of things on Instagram. Stories are massive. So anywhere you can add engagement in your stories, like a swipe up, is huge. So that was something that just went, wow, light bulb moment. This is going to be big and we need to start paying attention to it. The other thing that we are now allowed to do with IGTV is to have a landscape style video. So originally it was portrait video of up to 10 minutes. Now you could have a landscape video, but you had to edit it to be portrait style, which if you're not a video editor can get really hard. I know I'm certainly not a pro at that. And so it really turned me off being able to use that part of the platform myself. So being able to upload landscape video opened up just a whole new realm. So for example, I like to do a lot of tutorial style videos with a screen share where I'm talking but showing my audience something directly from my PC. So that means that now I'm able to do that and I can share that on IGTV. And to date, some of my best IGTV videos have been those landscape screen share tutorials because it's not something that the platform's ever really had on there. It's always been content that's been kind of more saved for Facebook or for YouTube. So being able to put that onto Instagram for me has definitely been a game changer. Then the most recent update for IGTV is that we can now add what's called a series. So you can add the video to a series of videos. This is really powerful because what happens is when you add your video, your IGTV video to a series, when someone is watching a video in that series, then it comes up with the next video in that series so that they can then watch that. That's kind of something that YouTube has always had. So if you go onto YouTube and you watch a YouTube video, it comes up with this another suggested video that you should watch after that one. This gives IGTV a similar sort of thing going on. Now, what you can do is you can create a number of series about different topics. So for example, I might create some series around Facebook ads or Instagram stories or email marketing. And then every time I upload an IGTV video around that topic, I can add it to that series. What that does is then it keeps people on your profile, which is really interesting to me. If you think about your website and SEO, having people be on your website and the length of time they're on your website is really important, right? If you look at Facebook video, Facebook give you video metrics based on the length of time that people have watched your videos for. So the longer someone is on your profile, the longer someone watches your content for matters. Where that sits and where that plays in the algorithm, I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. The algorithm is a really mystical beast that none of us really understand. We understand bits of it, but it is a very complex thing. So the fact that Facebook measures video metrics on the length of time that people are watching it means that that matters. The fact that Instagram introduces a feature of IGTV where you can add it to a series and people can watch more than one video of yours in a row means that they're on your profile for longer. That matters. There's no metrics around it to track it yet, but trust me, it matters. Like I said, when these platforms release these features and release these products, they do it for a reason. So the things that IGTV has come out with in 2019 have made it a part of the platform that a lot of people are starting to use more. It's also becoming a part of the platform that a lot of people are engaging with more, which brings me to some of the strategic reasons behind why it's a good idea to start using IGTV and how you can start to use it in your everyday marketing on Instagram. Okay, so first of all, a couple of reasons why IGTV is a really good strategic part of the platform to get started using or to use more if you're not using it already. Number one, video content. It's video content. There's really no more to say about that. If we don't realize that video content is the future, then what are we even doing here? Like, it's pretty obvious from the platforms and the way that they prioritize video that it's a big deal. And for us as small business owners to stand out in a very crowded marketplace like social media, we need to have cut through. Video is a great way to have cut through. It's also a great way to connect with your audience on a deeper level. They can experience audio and moving picture. That engages their senses on such a bigger level than just an image and text. Also, to remember that not every person in your audience wants to read text. Some people want to listen to it rather than read it. That's the exact reason why I've got a podcast, is because people like to consume audio rather than reading long form blogs. Well, that's my audience anyway. The other interesting thing that I find with IGTV is that it is a really engaging part of the platform. And there's a number of reasons why that's the case. The first one is that it's not a part of the platform that everybody's using. So when someone sees someone in your audience sees an IGTV video, they're more likely to click on it and have a bit of a look. Whether they watch it for 10 seconds, 30 seconds, or 3 minutes or 5 minutes isn't the point. The fact is it's something different, so it engages them, it catches their eye. And because not everyone's doing it, the ones that are kind of standing out more. I guess what I'm trying to say is this. If you're late to the party here, you could miss out on some really great growth and engagement that you could be tapping into now before everybody's doing it. If you can stand out before someone else in your niche doing something that they're not, that's always got to be a good thing, right? So because it's not a part of the platform that everyone's using, it's a really engaging part of the platform. I find for myself and my clients that use it and other people I know that use it, that they get more longevity in their engagement. So an IGTV video for me will have engagement for a longer period of time than just a post with a text and an image, for example. When I look at my most engaging content for the last 30 or 60 days, and then I look at my top 5, 2 of them are IGTV videos. So it goes to show that it's content that people are liking. It's content that people are engaging with. The other thing that's great about IGTV is that it's a part of Instagram where you can have that longer form video content that you don't get anywhere else on the platform. Yes, you can use Instagram Live, but again, you have to navigate to your stories to find it, whereas this shows up directly on your feed. You can use also up to 60 minutes worth worth of IGTV video. But because of the nature of it at the moment, and I believe it's going to grow and evolve and change, you can get really good traction on your videos with smaller content video. The kind of the sweet spot at the moment I'm finding is around that 2 to 5 minutes up to 10 minutes of video content on IGTV. Now, the reason for that is mainly user-led. Because it still sits in your feed, people find it while they're scrolling. It's not webinar style content that you can opt into like with a Facebook Premiere. So the average user is not going to stop and watch a 30 to 40 minute video mid-feed scroll, but they will stop and watch a 2 to 5 minute video or even an up to 10-minute video if you've got good enough value in that video content. So you can easily get started with really short form video and start to see good results with it. Long form video content over kind of that 10 to 20, 30 minute mark on IGTV. I do believe that the features are going to improve with this. If you look at Facebook Premiere, where people can opt into your video in like webinar style features, I believe something like that may come to IGTV. But for now, this is how it's working. And for that reason, you can get started really easily with short videos that pack a lot of punch, which means it's easier for you to create more and have more results with it. The other thing that's great about IGTV at the moment is that it's not an overly polished part of the platform. It's not somewhere where you need to have overly styled or videographer quality video content. People are quite happy just to sit there and listen to your chat, or like I said, watch a tutorial style video or a behind the scenes style video. It's not somewhere where people are really caring too much if it's overly professional. It's a place in the platform that people are really enjoying to engage with the account owner. So people who are actually getting on the video themselves and talking to their audience are having really good results with IGTV as well. I can assure you, I do not have an overly styled room or study or place in my home where I can shoot my videos. Even so, it doesn't matter. People are still loving the content, whether it looks perfect or not. And because you can add that thumbnail to the video, if they land on your feed still looks good. And really, Instagram is predominantly at its basic function, a visual feed-based platform. So yes, your thumbnail image should be good and it should be cohesive with your feed, but the video behind it at the moment doesn't have to be overly polished, which again means it's really accessible part of the platform for small business owners that don't have a budget to go and get lots of videos created and pay someone to do it. I guess what I'm saying is that it's a great place in the platform to connect more with your audience. It's a great place in the platform to get some engagement, and it's a great place of the platform that you can get started in using really, really easily and start to see results now. The thing is, as I've said before, the more people that start to use this part of the platform, the more polished that you need to be on this part of the platform, it's going to be harder to get that traction. So if you get started now and build on your momentum with it now, you're only going to have better results with it as time goes on. Which leads me to, how do you create an IGTV strategy? Again, I hear you guys say, this is just another thing I have to do. So how the hell am I going to use this and not overwhelm myself? So I've got a few really good tips for you if you haven't started using it or you're thinking about it and you're still not sure whether you should invest your time. So my 5 tips are these. Number 1 is to understand if your ideal client is hanging out there. So do some market research and ask your audience, ask your clients, ask people who engage with you on a regular basis if they like to watch IGTV videos from other people. If they do, then get stuck into it and put some videos out there and see if it's something that your audience respond to. If they come back and say no, then I probably wouldn't put it as a priority, but I would still put it on my list of things to do and list of things to try. So do a little bit of market research first, because if your audience is hanging out there, then get onto it stat. if they're not so much hanging out there, then add it to your list and get to it, but definitely get to it. Number 2 is if they are on there, then work out how many times a week or a month you're going to show up. Now, this is another great thing about IGTV at the moment, is that you don't need to be on there every day. It's not like stories where if you want to get traction with your stories, you've got to be on your stories every day. They're like a daily thing that you have to do. And I don't know about you, I love stories, but sometimes it gets exhausting having to produce them all the time. The thing with IGTV video is that because, like I said before, not many people are using that part of the platform. It's still a relatively native part of the platform where you can show up. It doesn't have to be overly polished. Another great thing is you can get away with just doing IGTV once a week to 10 days and still see really good results, which is really great for the average small business owner that doesn't have a studio to take amazing videos, that they're maybe taking their video in their garage or their bedroom or in their study or something like that. You can get started with it and you don't have to be on there all the time. So you can shoot a few videos in a row, take a morning out, shoot a few videos at once, and then you can use them over the next kind of 4 to 6 weeks and still see really good results. So if you are going to get started, do not get overcomplicated with it and think that you need to be there every day, because right now you don't. And that's a really great thing about it, because who wants to overwhelm themselves with more work? This is a really easy part of the platform to get started with video that you don't need to overcommit to. And for that reason, playing around with it is a really great thing. The other great thing about it is that from a strategy point of view, it's a great place to repurpose content. So what I'm finding is repurposing content into an IGTV video works really well. So let's say you've had a post that's had a lot of great engagement. It might be an image and a text post. You can then repurpose that post into a video and post it on IGTV and expand on the content in that post even more. The thing is, if that content's getting great traction with a text post, then you can be sure that people are going to be engaged with it in video as well. So the other great thing with that is you can refer back to the original content. So you can send people back to somewhere else in your ecosystem. So for example, I do a lot of lives in my Facebook group and my group members absolutely love it. My group is over about 1,300 people now. It's a really engaging place and they love my weekly lives that I do. So when I do a live topic and I get lots of engagement from it, I repurpose that into a bit of a smaller form video, a bit of a snack, you could say, on IGTV. And then I refer in that video people back to my group and I say, if you want to watch the full video, head to my group, the link's in my bio. So it's a really great place that you also don't need to overthink your content in. Just take some content that's already working, repurpose it into a video, and then you can use that video to send people back to that original content, whether it's to go back to your feed and read the post, whether it's to go to your Facebook group and watch your video, whether it's to join your mailing list so that they can be updated about more information regarding that topic. It's a really great sort of connector place in your ecosystem where you can constantly be evolving your content on. The other thing is that you can repurpose out of your IGTV video by using the swipe up in your stories. Now, if you wanted to do a longer form video on IGTV, say it was 20 minutes or something, maybe you did a live in your group and you want to share it directly as a 20-minute or 30-minute video. My suggestions behind that strategy would be this. Announce it to your Instagram community. Say to them, on Monday morning, I did a live in my Facebook group last week and this is what we talked about. I'm going to be sharing that live with you on Instagram TV this week on Wednesday at 3 p.m. Let them know when it's going to drop live and build some momentum about it. The thing is, people can't opt into an IGTV video before it's aired. So if you're going to do longer form content or share longer form content, build some hype and momentum first. Lastly is be consistent. You're not going to see traction on one video. You're probably not going to see traction on 2. But once you've done 3 or 4 or 5 or 10, your audience is going to get used to seeing you there. They're going to get used to the fact that you show up on that video content. They're going to get used to the fact that you use IGTV. And if they are the sort of people that like it, engage with it, and consume it, they're going to start expecting it from you and they're going to start loving it. Like anything, you've got to give things time to see results. So definitely give it a few videos. Like, don't just do one and then that's it, say it didn't work. Give it a go for a couple of months. Like I said, you don't need to be on there every day. This is something you could be doing once every week to 10 days, which over 2 months is, that's kind of really only 6 to 8 videos, which isn't a big investment in your time. So there's my 5 tips as far as strategy goes. Number 1, is your ideal client hanging out there? If they are, get onto it stat. If they're not, put it in the list, but still definitely get to it. Then work out how many times a week or month you need to show up there. Once a week is definitely enough. Number 3, repurpose content. Repurpose some of your good content into a video. And then number 4 is use your videos to send people somewhere else in your ecosystem. Send them to follow you on Facebook, to join your Facebook group, to get onto your mailing list. It's a great place for soft CTAs like this because you can't add a link anywhere in an Instagram post. It's not the best place to have strong CTAs, but these soft sort of CTAs where you send people around your ecosystem work really well on IGTV at the moment. And number 5, be consistent. If you're going to give it a go, give it a red hot crack. Otherwise, you don't really know if it works if you give up after the first time. My final words. Just take action. You don't need fancy software. A tripod and a smartphone is perfectly good enough. We're so blessed these days to have access to amazing technology at our fingertips. So don't wait to have the most fancy camera and, like a big lighting suite and a backdrop. Just get a tripod and chuck your iPhone in it and get started. The thing is, if people and your audience don't want to consume IGTV video, why would you invest in all of that if they're not really going to hang out there? But if you do start really simply and they love it, then you can expand on that from there. Lastly, just have fun with it. Like anything the first time around, you'll probably feel really clunky, but it does get better. I kind of always say, if my 2-year-old child can learn how to operate a smartphone without me telling them how to, then you, my friend, can master anything that you need to. Obviously, my kids are older than 2 now. They're almost 9 and 11. But my 8-year-old knows how to use Canva. She sits next to me, watches what I do, and then copies me and creates exactly the same image as I have. Now, if they can learn how to do that really easily without you having to tell them, then you can produce a video, chuck it on IGTV, do that for a couple of months and see if it's going to work for you. I've definitely given you enough reasons in here to give it a crack. Just don't overthink it, because usually when you overthink it is when you either don't take action or you want it to be so perfect that you get yourself all up in knots with it. So there you go. IGTV, the background on it, the what's happened to date, the why it's an amazing part of the platform, and my top 5 tips for getting started with a strategy. If you're going to use IGTV video, guys, I'd love you to share them with me. Tag me in your videos, let me see what you're producing, and I can give you some tips and tricks on how to improve it over time. As always, if you're loving the podcast, please head over and subscribe and leave a review. They are just like podcaster gold. I'll see you next time, guys. Stay classy. Thanks for listening to the Social Hub podcast. You can find the show notes for today's episode over at allthewsocialhubau.com/podcast. And if you want to join me in my community and continue the conversation, jump over to Facebook and join the Social Media 101 Facebook group. Until then, stay classy.